Here from Compass Physio. This week we're going to talk about the hamstring. The hamstring is actually the thing that got me into physiotherapy because I hurt my hamstrings a lot. And I started looking into how could I reduce my risk of injury, and hence I'm now a physiotherapist, many years later. But this week we are seeing an epidemic, literally, of hamstring injuries. I spoke about a few weeks ago where I said, look, we first started to see lots of kind of knee rolls and ankle rolls and knee twists, and now it's soft tissue. As the intensity of the games go up, especially GA, championship matches, higher intensity, more sprints, boom. That snipers is out there in those fields, and we're seeing the people pulling those hamstrings. This week we're going to share some insights into what you can do to reduce the risk of injury, how you can manage it if you do get injured, and how going forward we can give you some exercise that will reduce your risk long term. So firstly, what are the hamstrings? The hamstrings are a key group of muscles at the back of the leg. They attach up with the glute and underneath the glute, and they actually run down and attach below the knee. Okay, so they're super important when it comes to running. So important for bringing our hip back behind our leg, and also for bending the knee. And often what we find when we drill into it and we do some testing on your muscle strength is that your quads are meant to be slightly stronger, are stronger than your hamstring. But the imbalance and issues occur when your quads are 2 or 3 times as strong as your hamstrings. So we know that when people are running and sprinting, that's often where there can be an imbalance, and people end up getting that sharp, shooting, grabbing pain at the back of the hamstrings. There's 3 main hamstrings that we focus on. In total, there's 5 hamstrings, but 3 main hamstrings at the back of the leg. Injury statistics for hamstrings. We know that since the COVID lockdown and post-activity, the injury rates have increased around about 3 times with regard to soft tissue injuries and hamstring injuries. And that is to do with the fact that people have been training and doing lots of running and 5Ks and 3Ks and that kind of stuff, but they haven't been doing enough volume or conditioning themselves to do as much of the sprinting, slowing down, twisting and turning. And when we go into a game scenario and we start to get fatigued and tired, what we're finding now is that the muscles the hamstring muscle is pulling a lot quicker. Often there can be some warning signs, a little bit of tightness, a bit of cramping. That's where we encourage people to step out. If they don't, sometimes then it can lead to the bigger muscle pull. Most commonly, injury 4 to 6 weeks out, depending on the grade of injury. And this time of year, that's going to lead to your season, for example, being over. The early management of hamstring injuries is absolutely critical. So often we see people come in and say, yeah, on the field, felt it go, came off, put some ice on it, went home. Next morning, got up, took some painkillers, anti-inflammatories, and started stretching and giving a good stretch out, just to try and get rid of whatever they might say, scar tissue, etc. The correct management that we encourage is ice at the time, compression, so getting something tight around that tissue, be it leggings, compression tights, whatever it might be. We wouldn't encourage anti-inflammatories, for example, for the first 48 to 72 hours. You may have to take something for pain relief, like paracetamol, if it's a stronger, if it's a bigger pull or tweak. Continue to use ice 15 to 20 minutes every 2 to 3 hours. We'd encourage some sort of gentle muscle contraction, and that might be tensing the muscle, that might be coming into a very small bridge, just to get the muscle activated, trying to get it switched on, and trying to show in early days what it's supposed to do. The acute management in the first kind of 5 to 7 days dictates the rest, and we can really shave time off by getting intervention, getting a formal diagnosis of what the problem is, what the injury is, and how it can be treated. Because depending if the injury is higher up in the hamstring or lower down, depending what muscle group it is, we tweak our treatment programs based on that. Bulletproofing your hamstrings in the long term. So one of the key things that we find is people rush back to activity, be that running, be it kickboxing, be it Gaelic, be it soccer. The big game come, but they have to go back, and they don't spend the time doing the preventive work long term. So one of the key exercises that we encourage is the use of the Nordic curl exercise, which is an exercise where you're kneeling and you control your descent forwards. One of the key tips, which I'm telling a lot of people who have hamstring injuries at the moment, is a lot of time they'll do a Nordic curl and they'll struggle whereby they kneel, go to fall forwards, and they fall and break straight away. So we encourage people to use a power band, and that power band will be wrapped underneath your arms. You may have a training partner who will hold on to the back of the power band, and they'll control that descent as you come down. So working a hamstring through its full range. We need to have some sort of maintenance. That might be 2 sets of 6, and that might be done a couple of times a week. doing throughout the season to help reduce your risk of injury. Okay, that's one of a number of things. Often we look at what may well be driving it. Could be back problem, could be hip issue, but we like to put in place something long term for our clients that will reduce their risk, if not negate their risk of having another hamstring injury in the long term.